Hi, you're listening to Chatter Chats, quick-fire interviews about the world of dance. I am joined by commercial photographer Paul Madeley and actor Joanne Clifton. Welcome, Paul, and welcome, Joe. Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Our listeners may be a little bit confused about why I'm chatting to a photographer and an actor on a podcast about the world of dance, but in fact we're both dancers in a former life, aren't you?
I love it. Dancers in a former life. It sounds like we've been reincarnated.
We're really old. We're mummified.
I know, right? Thank you. Carry on.
I wanted to chat to you both about your respective dance careers. So, Joe, your parents were ballroom dancers, and Paul, your parents were heavily involved in the theatre. So, what inspired you both to become dancers?
Well, my whole family were dancers. My parents were Latin American champions. My auntie, as in my dad's sister, was a Latin American champion. My grandparents on my dad's side were Hemel Hempstead quick step champions. And then, of course, I had my big brother, which some of you may know from a little show called Strictly Come Dancing, Kevin, who, he's only like a year older than me, but obviously we did everything together. So like when my grandparents couldn't babysit for us, we had to go to my mum and dad's dance school and just stay there. And then my brother would get up and join in with the classes, and I would just copy him because he was my older brother. And my parents didn't actually want us to dance because they've been through it all and they knew what it meant in terms of like sacrifice, dedication, you know, hard work, sweat, blood, tears, all of that. And they didn't actually want us to. And but they saw how much we enjoyed it. And they were like, okay, we're doing it. Fine, let's go.
So mine was completely different in the fact I did start dancing when I was 4.5 years old.
Yeah.
And I went to see some of my girlfriends at the time, not actual girlfriends, just friends who were girls, and went to see a dance show. And my mum had done Amdram and stuff and things, and my dad was kind of involved in the front of house. But I looked at the stage and I pointed to the stage, apparently, at the age of 4.5, pointed to the stage and says, I want to do that.
What style
but
was
better.
it? But better. Amazing. What style was it?
Ballet.
Ballet.
Yeah, so
Go
I
on.
started ballet at the age of 4.5 and then went on to the Royal Ballet School, summer school and JAs and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I started at 4 as well.
Crazy. This is the thing, because we were talking about the age of people is like, I think for boys, they start a lot older usually. Yeah. So for 4.5, that was really young for me to start ballet and things, and I was clearly the only boy in my little dance
Well,
school.
it's tough, isn't it, to get boys interested in dancing.
Yeah.
I think, at least in the ballroom world, that's something that Strictly Come Dancing has really, really helped.
Yeah.
Yes.
But but my brother did it just because like he was inspired. He's obviously saw my dad do it,
Yeah.
and my granddad. So then I just copied him. But yeah, go on with your ballet
I know.
at 4.5.
Crazy.
Was it that? Oh my gosh, I'm taking over.
No, you're not.
Was it that? What ballet is very regimental. Is that the word with all
Disciplined.
Disciplined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At 4.5.
Yeah. 4.5, and I went straight into like breaks as well. Like,
Wow.
I think the thing is I think I came out of the womb dancing. I know for a fact I was supposed to always be a dancer, and it has helped me in my whole life really. So yeah, that was it.
What age did you start?
I started ballet when I was 3.
Oh, you've beaten us both.
Yeah.
You've beaten us both. Was that, I did a little bit.
But they were
of
naughty
ballet.
toes, good toes,
Yes,
naughty
that's what I was
toes, good
gonna
toes,
say.
right?
But I did ballet as well. I tried to get into it, but I was one of them kids who's got like the arched back.
Right.
Right, and you know when they're really little, arched back and like a belly that stuck out.
Yeah.
And I had the black leotard and pink tights, and I got called the pregnant slug.
Oh my god.
Yes. So I stopped.
I hope you put that into a dance move at some point. Do the pregnant slug.
So, following all of that, where did you guys train from sort of when you started to where you graduated from there?
I trained at a local dance school in Sherborne, which was a little town. And then I was really lucky, like I had a teacher called Judy who literally just put her efforts into me. She saw something and she got me into the Royal Ballet, she got me into arts educational. I didn't go, but she got me in, you know, and she really put all her effort into me, which was amazing. Like, that she saw this in this young child. Because I don't think I would have pushed myself as hard until I got to 10, and then I did a musical, Sound of Music, and I went, oh, I'm allowed to sing, I'm allowed to act, and I'm allowed to dance. I'm allowed to do all three, and that was it. I was hooked. Ballet was out the window, and musical theatre was my.
That's so weird you say that, because that was another one of my dreams. Now I've done, as we said, I've done since I was 4. But I've always wanted to do musical theatre, because you can sing and act as well.
Yes.
You can something, a sound can come out of your mouth.
But we forget. I think the one thing when I'm teaching young adults or children is dancing is acting. You have to emote. Like, when you're doing something like the rumba, there's got to be a story. There's got to be something happening.
Yeah, otherwise it wouldn't be. You would just be
no,
dead, wouldn't it?
But it's like all the Strictly rumbas. You connect with them. I mean, you look at the. Wasn't a rumba. I don't know what it was. It was the one that Giovanni and Rose did. That was the
Couple's Choice.
The conflict one. No, the
conflict.
conflict.
The conflict one.
Was
it Paso? Yeah.
Not American Smooth. Was it?
Oh, I can't remember.
But it was amazing, and
the
story just drove the dance.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that you need to be an actor to be a dancer.
I think that kind of makes a difference between just a performer and an artist in terms of dance. Anyway, anyone can just train on the technique, which is massively important.
Yeah.
But if you can't move someone in the audience to feel some kind of emotion, whether that's joy or sadness or love, whatever, then you haven't done your job and you're not an artist. Anyway, I have gone way off track. Well,
where did
you have.
Train?
You
where
went
did
off
you train?
track.
Sorry, where did you train?
I trained. Well, I was looking at enough that my parents, as I said, were dancers. They had a dance school up in Grimsby, so we started there, and I danced with my older brother to start off with. And we had lessons with my dad. My mum didn't really enjoy teaching, but my dad taught us. Now, my brother, a little bit difficult to teach. I was all right. I never said anything, but my brother and my dad would row quite a lot. It was literally like, Kevin, you're not straightening your leg enough on that step. Yes, I am. Well, you're not. Yes, I am. It was like that.
Did your dad see a lot of him in your brother, do you think?
I don't know. I don't know if my dad is. My brother can be very, very stubborn and opinionated. And he's the only one out of all 4 of us that is like that, in my opinion.
It's very dry, isn't he?
Yeah.
His humour's very dry. Like, when I had him in for his headshots, he's not the Kevin Clifton that was obviously produced, I guess.
He's quite introvert, really, now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we trained there with my dad until it got to the point where my dad was like, no, I can't just teach them anymore, let's send them elsewhere. And in England, in the ballroom world, it's probably getting more now, club kind of way. But when I was training at that age, it was more like you are your one couple and you choose which teacher you go to and how often. So Dad sent us away and we went to someone called Margaret Redmond in Liverpool to start off with, and then we went to Shirley Ballas. Yeah. And she was our coach for quite a while through the junior section, so that's from 12 to 16. And then from then, we didn't want to dance together anymore, because doing a rumba with your brother, gross. Don't want to stroke his face and pretend I'm in love with him. Thank you very much.
No.
So we split up dancing, but because we're so close in age and we're so close, we didn't want to compete against each other. So he went and did the Latin section, concentrate more on that, and I went with the ballroom. I danced with someone from Birmingham for a little while, and then in Blackpool, I saw a style of dance which really made me feel like, oh my gosh, this is different. Because in the ballroom style, for you listeners, you're in a frame. So there's not much really. If you see 16 heats of waltz, just loads of couples doing waltz in the same frame and stuff, boring. But this couple came out and I was like, oh my gosh, they're amazing. They're trying out all these different things. They're being risky, taking risk, they're standing out.
Oh, were they from the other federation, the WDSF? Is that what?
It was all one at that point.
Oh, okay.
But guess who it was? It was Paolo Bosco with Sylvia Pitton, right? Sorry, this is a long ass story. Sorry.
Carry on.
Yeah, so I saw him dance and I was like, I want to dance like that.
Yeah.
So my dad found out which school it was, and it was Team Diablo in Italy. And we found out the name of the guy dancing, and we just sent an email. We were like, would he be looking for another partner or whatever? And we got an email back from the coach, Davide Cacciari, and he said, no, he's quite happy in his partnership, but we do have another boy. Do you want to come over and have a tryout? So I went over, tried out, and it's this massive club system over there. You have to be in that club, and that's what you belong to. You don't decide to just go off and have lessons. And I quite liked that, and I liked their style of dance and their way of thinking. So I stayed there and danced with this guy. 11 years later, I split up dancing with this guy because guess who asked me to dance with them? Paolo Bosco. So there you go. We came full circle, and that's where I trained. I trained 14 years in Italy.
So how old were you when you first went to Italy for the tryout? With
16.
You were 16.
And I came back at 30.
Wow.
Yeah. Long time. Very long time. I haven't been back since. It was a lot. It was a very lot. But it got me.
Do you speak Italian?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh. There is YouTube videos of me doing interviews. If you want to Google them, it's quite funny. You got Paolo Bosco and Joanne Clifton interviews, and I'm speaking English, but with an Italian accent.
Are you?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
it's dreadful.
So you just
it's
took
dreadful
on this.
because I was just living
course.
there and
Yeah.
mainly speaking Italian most of the time.
You
Just sort of parroting for everyone else.
I think I speak a little bit like this in the interview. Yes, because we did the German Open, we did the Italian Open.
So no one really would know where you were from.
Oh, for goodness sake! Well, that came straight back when I came back at 30
I
years.
bet.
So, following obviously all of that, where the massive career choices, where did that take you from there? As in once you stopped competing and kind of retired-ish from there.
Science! Get the
Saying-
walking stick!
Do you know what I mean? She keeps saying it. Where am I moving to? Apparently I'm moving into a home. I think my husband wants me to. We've already talked about it. I mean, hilarious. Where did it take me? For me, I went to Lane Theatre Arts, just a quick one. Went to Lane Theatre Arts, trained there for 3 years, and then my first job was in America in Spirit of the Dance. Yes, and that was a learning curve, shall we say.
Go on.
I got injured, unfortunately. I was only there for 3 weeks. It was a very intense programme that you had to learn how to be an Irish dancer in 5 weeks, basically. And I got there and was bullied into being told that I wasn't good enough. I was actually, they said, we can't believe you went to Lane Theatre Arts, you're a complete embarrassment to them. And this was half an hour before our opening night. Now we had never seen the show, we had only learnt the choreography, and you know what Irish is like, the 5, 6, 7, 8 and rhythm and everything like this. So we had an hour and a half to be blocked into 14 numbers. And then we had to go and do a dress rehearsal. And I just laughed, because this is the thing with me, is like if I feel uncomfortable, I just laugh. I can't help it. I don't know if yours like similar.
Get nervous laughter.
That nervous laughter. So we're doing the pinwheel, and I didn't know if I was in the inside or on the outside of this pinwheel and stuff, and I'm just like hopping around the stage and things. And after the dress rehearsal, I was called on by the company manager and basically told I was an embarrassment and that I need to get it together. It's the show tonight. And part of me was like, I just want to go home. I don't want to be here. And then I went, nope, do you know what? I'm going to go on and enjoy myself. And so I went on and I performed the way I usually perform, and I was there. And these 2 American ladies came up to me in the and said, "Oh my God, we loved you. We couldn't keep our eyes off you." And company manager came up to me and said, What did they just say to you? And I was like, oh, they said they couldn't keep their eyes off me. They really enjoyed the show and stuff. And he was like, yes, you are not the star of the show, Paul. You are ensemble and you need to blend in. And I was like,
You never need to blend in.
I was like, wow. I was like, okay, that's fine. And then they put me into training again because they said I wasn't good enough. And I was doing 5 hours of training in the day and 2 shows at night. and I ended up getting injured because there's a thing called a cut where your leg comes up and hits your thigh, but I kept hitting my knee. And so I basically lost the shock absorption in my knee and got sent home. So while I was at home, I got a phone call from a cruise ship that I'd auditioned for. They offered me the cruise. I took the cruise and it changed my whole life. And that was it. I was on it for 10 years.
But
I'm so glad I got injured now.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did the fact that they told you weren't good enough, did that give you a fire underneath your belly for the rest of your career? Like to say,
no, it destroyed it.
It destroyed it.
It destroyed me for the first contract. When I went out to the cruise ship, my confidence was so low, and we were in rehearsals, and I kept getting critiqued, but I felt like the critique was always attacked, and it wasn't. And I actually went downstairs and spoke to the choreographer and just said, look, I think I need to leave. I don't think I'm good enough. And they were like, what are you saying? You're not good enough. And I'm like, well, you keep telling me that I need to do this. He goes, Paul, you've got it. Now I'm putting in the little bits. This isn't you being not good enough. This is now pushing you to the next level. You've already got it. Now we're pushing you to the next level. I went, oh. And then that was it. I realised critique is a good thing. Yeah. If you just take it on board, do it, and then let it go. If you let it fester in the critiques, it just doesn't. It's really
I got to that point there that you just spoke about after when I got away from Italy, retired in your words, Bella. When I retired from competition, so our coaches were very, very harsh, especially the Russian lady coach. I was told I was a swear word, meaning poo, every day and stuff. But that kind of, when I was there, lit something. I was literally like, I'm going to show you. Yeah. When I finished that career and moved back to England, any type of criticism I would get really defensive. Rather than it,
sit in it.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh no, oh God, oh this is it. When I wasn't in that club situation anymore, in the competitive world, I was like, oh no, that's affecting me now. I've got out of that now. But it's, that hit me afterwards. What was your question to start off with this bit?
Where did the
where did it take you?
Where did it take you?
Yeah. From there.
Okay, so after 14 years of Italy, I'd stayed there, even though I was told I wasn't, that we were only winning because of Paolo, blah, blah, blah. I stayed there, I was like, I'm going to show you. Got my World Championship medal in 2013, I think it was, December. And then I got Burn the Floor and Strictly. So Burn the Floor, as you know really, really well, Ballroom and Latin dance show that's been around for 25 years, something like that.
You just had your reunion, right?
Yeah. Very, very energetic ballroom and Latin show, which is a lot to do with the storytelling, what we've been talking about. And I suddenly felt quite free doing that. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't have to just be, in the frame, so physically, I was physically more free, but also could express so much easier doing this show, and it wasn't so much concentrated on the details of technique. And then from there, I went on to Strictly. Did 3 years on Strictly. I was able to win that. I'm just going to throw that in there. And now I'm in musicals because I want to sing and act as well. A childhood dream that I had.
Okay. So obviously choosing dance, I feel personally, is a very hard choice in career because obviously of rejection and all of that hard part of it. How do you sort of deal with rejection when it comes to...
I think it's a bit similar to what I've just said about being critiqued. The more they would push me down. So there was a period of I think it was 6 years I was in the top 12 trying to break into the final for 6 years with Marco in the amateur section. And we just couldn't break into the final 6. We were always in the top 12, just couldn't break through. And the more we didn't get through, regardless of what Marco did, I would get up that hour earlier and come into the studio and work it on myself. I'd go to the gym or I'd run everywhere. I'd just do more of what was needed really until I made it. I think. Yeah, I think that's just how I dealt with it. But having parents who had been through that anyway,
Yeah.
they told us that right from being kids. We knew that you were always, I mean, so many more like defeats, is that the word? So many more defeats than victories in this career. But when you get that victory, it's all worth it because you've had so many defeats. You know what I mean? So you've got to see it that way, and you've got to every time they push you down, like get up and go stronger. That's what I think.
I think I learnt mine in 2007. I was training out in LA as an actor, and I learnt about rejection out there. Not harshly at all, if anything, in a great way, because my acting coach flipped my way of thinking, and every audition I ever went into, I just treated like a workshop. I didn't look at the end goal anymore.
Yeah.
It was just, I was in the room and I'm going to have fun. And I was very lucky. I did the Broadway audition for a chorus line for the second cast of Broadway and got down to the last two for the finals in LA. And I'd never got that far in the West End in my life. And it just was validation. And for me, that was a win. Didn't need the job.
Yeah.
I needed the validation that I was good enough. And I was like, and I've taken that with me every single time. So for me, if I get a recall, I've won. Because then it's about what they're looking for.
Exactly.
But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and I try and pass this on to all of my actors who come into my studio now and inspire them to just be in the moment and enjoy the audition process. But also, that's also up to the casting directors and up to the directors to make you enjoy that process as well and feel like you're worth it. In America, and they are much more personable, which is funny. They're much more humanizing towards you, and they give you more time in the room, and you just feel more seen. Really? Over here, it's you do your thing, you go out, and the one thing I can't, and the reason why I actually retired was because of that, because I was sick of going into an audition and seeing people with their heads down and just not engaging with you at all, and you just are a number. And it's getting more and more like that as we're going. And now self-tapes have come in. It's even worse because actually I can't get my personality across in a self-tape.
I hate self-tape.
And everyone's going, well, you have to. And you're going, I can't. I said, I need to be in the room. I need to be like...
Yeah,
you need to have that energy from each other, don't you?
Exactly. It was the same as training. I mean, sorry, I'm going to throw it back to you, Isabella. You trained in lockdown with the wonderful Joe, didn't
How I
you?
met you.
But do you
For a
feel,
camera.
although you learned a lot, do you feel now you're back in the room?
Oh, definitely. It's like I enjoyed meeting all of these people, and you and Lauren, Jamie and everyone. But except from that, I did hate it because obviously it was just sort of in my house. It was a very small space, it's on a screen, and despite like obviously the nice social aspects of it, just doing it in that environment wasn't the best for me. I don't
Same
think.
for teaching, I think. Like,
But then you appreciate now the teaching. Now you appreciate
yeah.
being in the room.
Yeah.
And actually, that's the thing. It's this whole thing of turning it around and going, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't appreciate this. It's the same with you in Italy. If that didn't happen, when I have those amazing, you go and do, well, you're about to go and do Shrek, and you're going to have an amazing time, I'm sure, because you love what you do, but you're going to go, my discipline actually is already there. I don't need to be taught that.
Yeah.
It's already there. Now I can just enjoy myself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, exactly. But back to your lessons in lockdown.
Yeah.
Same thing is like, I know this has nothing to do with what we just said,
No.
but getting my hands on you as well, in terms of like showing you physically how to dance. Like you can put your hand on my shoulder and feel what I need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I couldn't wait to get back in the room. But self-tapes I hate. I hate because you're not acting off anyone. They tell the person who's reading opposite you to not put any acting into it. So you've not really got anything to work off. You've just got someone reading off a script, and they just have to read it really like blandly and everything.
But then how
Awful.
are you supposed to...
Exactly.
How are you supposed to act if you can't...
Well, it becomes a very selfish act in a way,
Yeah.
because you haven't got that person with you to react to, and acting is reacting. In my view as a director, I will always be like, put the script down and just listen to what they're saying, because they're going to give you what you need to say next. That's going to happen, you know. And this is why people are like, I need my script. It's a crutch. Sometimes it's a crutch, and sometimes you need to get rid of that script. Like, I can imagine when you do Shrek, I keep going back to Shrek because I can't wait to see you in it. But when you're with the banter and this fire back that you've got to have with Shrek, we have to almost see that instant connection. And if we don't see it, we ain't gonna go with you on the journey. Does that make sense?
Acted play instead of like you're actually watching something happen. If that makes sense.
And it should be different every single time.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely.
The reaction she sees when she sees him should be different every single time. It might make her laugh, might make her woo, you know, all of those kind of things. But to me, that's also going into the ballroom world. I was talking about like the rumba and stuff like that. The reaction comes from what the partner gives you, and if the partner doesn't give you anything, it's like, oh God, I've got to put in all this effort now for you to, especially with women, because you get led a lot, don't you, by men. Do you sometimes feel that, because that's always been the way, would you like to see that flip? And do you think it is happening at all?
In dance?
In dance. In ballroom, does it happen at all where the woman does lead now? Or?
I guess in the same-sex partnerships. But in terms of ballroom, as in rather than Latin, you'll know more about Latin now, you're in that frame and it just works, and the way that the whoever's dancing as the follower / lady, they have to follow the leader, because our arms are on top of their arms, that we're not carrying, in a sense. I know we shouldn't be carrying anyway, but they're underneath. They're going to lead. Their head is straight forward, so they can see what where we're going. We're moving backwards with our head out to the left and like nearly to the floor. So we can't really lead too much in the ballroom section.
Right.
In the Latin, I think it's different.
I mean, there is obviously the whole normal aesthetic of like it's a man and a woman in a more traditional partnership, and it's very much like that. But nowadays you'll see videos of professionals or top amateurs or something, and especially in Latin, you'll see the woman become more
powerful
of herself, and the man's just sort of there to lead her, if that makes sense. So she's definitely more the star, instead of like, oh, you're coming over here because I'm going to go do this now. And they're like, oh, okay. So they definitely, I think, lead more in Latin.
I could see it having this story, though, of like, because women are getting more powerful and things like that, and there could be the next story of, because there is that whole thing of those women who can mentally abuse their husbands and stuff and undermine them and stuff like that. You could flip it on that side, couldn't you, with, you know, the strength and stuff. But I'm sure in competition it's a bit different, and that's probably why you like Burn the Floor, because it's more... It's free. It's got more of a freedom. And Strictly, I guess, you got to tell so many stories.
Oh, I had to lead in Strictly. In ballroom or Latin. You have to lead. The grip, the muscles I got in my arms.
But you had to look like you weren't leading.
Oh yeah, just fake it till you make it in your smile, don't you? But even in your smile, I'm going 1, 2, 3, and left.
Is there anyone who did connect to leading you? Like,
yes. All right. So who I won with in 2016.
Sorry,
we
I'm
got
asking
to
your questions.
I think it was the course final. It was musicals week. Is that the course final? Can't remember. And we did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
A foxtrot. We were in the dance off, and in the dance off, he went wrong, but no one ever knew because he led me so well. It was a bit like a what do you call it?
Did that light a fire under you and him when you were in the dance off again? Was it that you've had that?
I don't know. Like we were in the Well, I'm more worried in Strictly. It's different because it's all about the celebrity.
Yeah.
So you have to just make sure that they're okay. So as soon as that red light goes on, you go inside. You're going, oh no! But then you immediately have to turn to them and go, it's fine. Yeah. We'll just go out, just enjoy it, because this might be the last time we dance together. So just have a really good time. Don't try and do anything too different. Just go out and do what you know how to do. If you try and listen to judges or try to do anything more than you've already done, it might mess you up. But he did mess up. But no one knew because he was like, whoa, his frame was there. He'd used the rotation in his body, and I was just like, well, fine, I'll go with it. I'll go with it. And we did, and we got through. And we won and we beat my brother. So, can I just go back to self-tapes?
Yeah.
I know that that's nothing to do with dancing, but, well, it might be in the future, who knows.
God.
But just advice, in my opinion, you might feel differently about this, but I was in lockdown, whenever it was, I was like looking at famous people's self-tapes on YouTube, and there's a lot. And the guy from Stranger Things,
Which one?
oh, the guy with the hair, the older guy, come on, what's his name? The bad guy, the brother.
Matthew Modine.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's it. I don't know.
The
Don't know
guy
his name.
Everyone's seen Stranger Things, right?
Yeah.
The guy who, Maxine's brother.
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Right.
I know
Him.
him.
His self-tape for Stranger Things went against every rule that you learn about
Really?
self-tapes. Yes, and it was brilliant. And his personality came across between like scenes and stuff like that, because he was just like walking on and walking out, and he got the job, and it was so brilliant. So now when I do a self-tape, I go, these people are going to be sat there watching thousands of these blooming tapes, doing the same blooming scene. So I'm going to make it different, and I make it different. Maybe I'll have I'll do a few takes, one like they want it, then I'll just make up one and send that as well. And then in my ident, or I think that's what you call it, where you say, my name is Joanne Clifton, I'm this tall, blah, 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 I will put some quirkiness into that, and that's my advice to anybody who's doing them, so that you do, even in the slightest bit, they make them laugh or something. Yeah. So I would say maybe, my name is Joanne Clifton, I live in London, I am as tall as a fridge without the freezer. Something like that.
I love that.
And that, when they watch it, before they see the scene, will go, oh, Chandra said she's 5'3" or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my advice. Always stand out. And even in an audition, whether it's dancing, acting, and you're all in the room together, go big or go home. Don't try and fit in. Stand out. I did a tap audition. And I'm not the best at tap. I'm having lessons. I've got also for Shrek, I need to do it as well.
Tap's great fun.
Yeah.
Just keep your legs bent, you'll be fine.
I'm going to keep going. I did a tap audition and I could not keep up. I had no idea what they were on about because I'm a ballroom dancer. And this was like when I first started in musicals. Didn't get the job. However, in the audition, I was like, well, I can't keep up with this when they put the music on. So I'm just going to burst into a jive. So I did. So they were all doing this tap routine. I got to a certain point and went, here's some kicks, bam, 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 bam. I didn't get the role of the tap dancer, but I got a different role in that show because I'd stood out. So that would be my advice for people auditioning who are in a room with a load of other people. Always stand out, and if you can't do something, find another option because then you'll stand out.
Yeah.
And good or bad, you'll be remembered.
See, I have a tap story.
Go on.
So I was in for Singing in the Rain in London and upstairs at the Gatehouse, and I was in for Dom, which is the Gene Kelly role, and I got a recall, and at the recall we then learnt the tap, and there was 2 people from the West End who they had earmarked, I think, for the role of Dom and Kathy, and he was 6'3". And so we were up against each other. I knew him as well. Wonderful Simon Atkins, absolutely incredible. He's now an agent. And he, lovely guy. And they were putting threes together. And then the last 3 they put was Simon, Kathy, girl play Kathy, and then me. And I went, well, I'm in the Cosmo area. What's going on? I was like, okay. Now I can either give them suave Don, keep going with that, or let's just show them a little bit of comedy. Let's just show them that I have, because Don has to have comedy as well. And I gave them full Cosmo. They picked up the sides and went, can you go and learn, could you just go outside and just have a look at Cosmo? And I had not even looked at it. So went outside, came back in, and they were like, do you know Make 'Em Laugh? And I'm like, yeah. So I sang Make 'Em Laugh for them. They were like, okay, can you stay in and just do the sides for Cosmo? I'm like, yeah, no probs. Stayed in, did it. They were like, okay, can you now stay in here, but now can you do Don? I'm like, yeah. Okay, so I just had to keep flipping.
Yeah.
I did that about 3 times. They were like, okay, if you just go outside and we're just going to see some other people. And then they called me back in. I came back in, I went, so I've learned Lena.
Again, making him laugh.
And it's what got me the job.
Oh my God.
Because I took the piss out of it. Because I
Amazing.
didn't take it so seriously.
Yeah.
Because I thought I hadn't got it. I was like, there are 3 guys in here who are in the recall for Cosmo. I ain't got this. They're just playing. They're just having fun. And so I was like, well, if you're going to have fun, I'm going to have fun.
Yeah.
And then I went and got Cosmo and I did it.
Brilliant.
Well, just
Brilliant.
as well you had fun then, because in that situation, with all of that changing, it must have been really stressful almost. Because if
I thrive off of it though.
Do you?
This is the thing. Like, I love being an understudy because there's something about the energy that comes of going, what happens if I screw up?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, it doesn't matter because the audience doesn't know the script.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They don't know the thing.
Exactly.
If I can get through this show, I'm just going to do that. Because we used to do it on the ship a lot. Like, girls would go off, go over their ankle, and I would get from the dance captain going, so I'm now going to partner you. I'm like, right, we've never partnered before. And this happened on stage. Like, I was supposed to be doing a partner bit, and one girl's bra came, and she was quite a busty girl.
Oh my gosh.
And we were doing this, and her bra went pop.
Oh.
Out they come, Italian crews, on the thrust stage, so they were in eye level. And so you just saw Sarah going off stage, and then my friend Lindsay, who was the dance captain, coming across stage, and she wasn't supposed to. She was supposed to be on the other side, just so she could say to me, we're now going to do the lift. I'm like, right? Okay. Never done this before. And she just literally leaped herself at me, and it was one of those straddle lifts that's like on your shoulders. And we're like, we're going for it then. Okay. Up we go, and we went up, and yeah. So you're so used to it. That's the thing about cruise ships is like it does train you to be a swing.
Yeah.
It trains you to be an understudy. Like you have to, because there's no one. They're not casting anyone else in the seas and stuff. So yeah. So I just think you just need to go for things and enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Sorry, carrying on.
We
have so gone off. We haven't.
Oh, we're not? Okay.
I love that it says we're almost out of time. I think we're definitely almost out of time.
Well, I have one question.
Go on.
That I can think of without looking at anything. Going slightly backwards with what we've said, obviously you've both had a very intense sort of career in competing and whatever. And so what sort of sacrifices did you have to make in like your younger life to get to the top of where?
That's a good question to end with, actually, I think. I think for me, I gave up my childhood. Like, literally gave up my childhood. I didn't go out because I was either dancing or I was rehearsing for a musical. I was doing something like 10 musicals a year, plus doing my dance exams, plus doing Erdang Ballet Company on a Sunday, which my parents sacrificed a lot for as well, driving me up to London.
Yeah.
But I didn't get that childhood of just going out. I didn't go to any birthday parties, anything like that, because I had no time. I was invited, but I couldn't go. I had to make those choices at the age of 10. Like my mum would say, you've been invited to the party, however, you have got ballet at da-da-da-da. And I was like, no, I'll go to ballet. And I was a pushy parent myself. That's the thing. I pushed myself.
Right.
But I think that was the wrong thing to do. And if I did have children, or anyone who does have children, do allow them to go out and be a child. Yeah. Because you can't get it back.
But in this, what we were talking about before, me and you, yeah, I had a similar thing. And I look back and I go, oh, you know, I did go to birthday parties, but I wasn't allowed to go, excuse me, like the ice skating ones and stuff like that, in case you injure yourself.
No,
you know,
my legs were in shorts.
Were they?
They were in shorts.
Oh my god! I never went out with my, like in secondary school. Yeah. Everyone goes out at the weekends or does sleepovers or goes to, you know, some kind of under-16s disco or whatever. Yeah. All of that. I never did any of that. moved to Italy at 16. I didn't go clubbing or anything like that. I didn't even have my first drink till I think I was 30. Something like that, yeah.
Oh, no.
We weren't allowed to. So there was all of that I feel like, yeah, maybe I've missed out on that. However, there's the conflict within me. It's like, living my life like that has brought me to this stage of my life where I can enjoy all that, because I've kind of worked up, done it, achieved what I wanted to achieve, and able now to do dream jobs and just enjoy life.
You've gone backwards.
Yeah. However, I do agree with you, because I'm always conflicted. I'm always like, do I tell the mother of someone that I'm teaching, no, just let them do this and let them do that, let them live a little.
Also, let them go out. When I was talking to your mum, Isabella, like, let her go out and let her be tired in a dance class, and let them learn that you can't be tired in a dance class, because you're not going to gain anything. And actually, but you're never going to know that unless you do it yourself. It doesn't. You can't have parents telling you can't go because you're going to be tired. Go and experience it, because you're only going to do it once, really.
Yeah.
Because we all know what it's like. We all go out to, like, you might have an audition at 9 o'clock in the morning, and for some reason you decide, I'm just going to go out for a few drinks. 4 o'clock in the morning, you're like, I have an audition at 9 o'clock, and usually it's not going to go that well, you know. But you learn from that.
Yeah.
And the thing is that this is the thing, is you've got to make your own mistakes in this world. You cannot, I totally agree. Yeah. You can't live off your parents' mistakes. You can't live off your teachers' mistakes. You can't live vicariously through your teachers either. That's the thing, is you have to go and make them yourself. Because then you're like, well, that was a waste of... because you travel so far to go to your training, that you would feel guilty, right?
Yeah. But it's definitely because I am obviously older than I was a couple of years ago when I was just dancing for fun, and it's becoming more of like a proper thing in my life now. And obviously all my friends are going out, they're having fun, and I'm like, on a Friday night I'm at dance in Birmingham from like 7 till 10, and then back there from 9 until God knows what time in the evening on Saturday. And just kind of having that internal thing where if I have been invited out on like the Friday, for example, it's kind of like, do I miss practice and then go up to Birmingham on the Saturday morning? And I did do that once after my prom, and I was like, Mum, it'll be fine. If I mess up, I'll learn. And I definitely messed up a lot. But despite everything, I think on that day, I think I did very well, personally, because I didn't go to bed until sort of 1:30, and then I had like 7 hours of dance on Saturday.
But you could have both worlds. You could.
Yeah.
I think the thing is that if at 17 you can learn how to be that adult and say, do you know what? I'm going to go for 2 hours, and I'm probably going to get everything I can out of that 2 hours anyway. Because actually, 5 hours of a party, by the time you get to you're like, I wish I'd gone home now. So it's that thing, isn't it? But if I learnt that at the age of 17, I probably then in my 20s wouldn't have gone out as much as I did, because actually I was living my childhood at that age.
Yeah, that's true.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think I'm very lucky with my relationship with Mum, because she will let me be like free in a sense. Yeah. But then she'll also bring me back when I have to sort of get my sort of competitive head on and be like, you know what, I've committed to this, I need to do it. But then she'll also let me make my own sort
She's
of
a mummager.
Yeah, she really is my mummager.
She is, but she's a mummager in a way that she can separate that daughter, the thing, in the way, if say she was managing somebody else who was a ballroom dancer, like who's your age, she would be probably exactly the same and go, this is what happens, this is where you need to be, you need to have your hair done, you need to make sure this is done, and that's okay. We're allowed to have those people in our lives. You know,
my parents, being in the industry themselves, they didn't want us to dance, as I said before, because they knew it. But once we decided we wanted to, then that is where they went, okay, you need to do this, because they've done it themselves. But say, for example, the moment when I split up dancing with Kevin, my brother, I was deciding whether to go to a musical theatre school in London, or try to, like audition for one, or carry on with my dancing. And they were very supportive of each. They were like, whichever you decide you want to do, we'll support you. But obviously having my brother dance as well, they couldn't afford for me to do both. No. But they left the decision up to me, and it was me who then decided the dancing. And then once I decided that, then they were again behind me and guiding me in which direction I wanted to go. Yeah. I'm very understanding that I wanted to move to Italy by myself at 16 as well. So I was looking that way. Like, it was my decision, they didn't come with me.
So would you say you were a pushy parent yourself?
I say that I'm quite competitive. You know, I'm very, even at a board game, I'm competitive. I don't like losing. I am 5th in Britain in jigsaw puzzling. Let me just put that out there. Because I like doing jigsaws, and then I saw that there was a British Championship, so I was like, I'm going to go. And I'm 5th in Britain at the minute. So I'm just a very competitive person, and if somebody says to me at any point that I can't do something, whether it's my dance teacher or whoever, I will be like, well, I'm going to show you.
There we go.
And so, so when I actually split up, why I went to Italy and ended up staying was because I danced with someone in Birmingham. And when we split up dancing together, that was when I was going to Italy. And I know that my ex-dance partner's parents phoned the coaches in Italy and said, have a tryout with her, but she'll never stay there. She'll go home because she's too much of a home bird, and she just wants to be around her friends.
You proved them.
14 years later, world champion.
Did you know
Italy.
Did you know that? Did you know that that's what they would have done?
I didn't know that was what they would have done, but the coach, my Italian coach, told my dad when we got there that they'd already come. And so the coach wanted to know if I was going to be committed or not. If he was going to put me dancing with his student that he had already in Italy, he didn't want me to just be there for a month and then go, oh no, I'm going home.
Yeah, advice to parents, don't get involved in other people's career. If you want to get involved if you want to get involved in your child's career, that's fine, but also let them make a decision. Yeah. Do not get involved in other people's career. That is their life.
Other people's kids' careers.
It's very damaging in the long run. Yeah. Very, very damaging.
True. It just gets personal as well.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, I think that's about it. So thank you for answering all my questions and more.
And more.
And much more.
That's what a podcast is for.
Yeah. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I hope you guys have as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Coming.